Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar.
Welcome to church this morning. We've got so many announcements for you. Hey, let's enjoy a fresh cup of coffee. It's almost as good as the one at Cruisers.
Hey, today is Youth Sunday. We hope you're blessed as you hear what God has been doing in our lives as we lead worship. Next Sunday night, there will be a special service at Great Bulls Grove on Easter Valley Road. We hope you will all come out and join us. More information can be found in your bulletin. We have some exciting things starting back up in September.
Has your life been changed by Jesus? Well, if so, you should consider sharing that with some of the youth and children in our church.
First, we need everyone to commit to praying for our youth and children's ministry. Wednesday nights, our youth in pre-K to 6th grade Awana clubs meet, and we need some volunteers. All types of jobs are available: kitchen helpers, sign-up helpers, and substitute teachers, and weekly leaders.
We also need some additional workers for Sunday morning Greenhouse Children's Church. We're looking for a 1-year commitment for teachers and substitutes pre-K through 6th grade.
Please see the children's or youth directors for more information.
Fall is a wonderful time to get involved and start up a group maybe that you haven't been involved in before. We have several things that are happening this fall that we would love to have you, yourself, your family, with your spouse, however it is, we'd love to have you get involved in one of these ministries. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." And we would love to see you get involved with a group for that purpose. We have life groups that are happening. They meet multiple different times during the week. We have groups for all ages, families involved, couples, singles. We would love to get you involved in one of our life groups. We also have journey groups that will be starting up again in September, and that is a group that meets together and encourages and disciples one another and mentors one another. And we also have a one-on-one mentoring program, Men of Iron built. We will be making an announcement about that next week, so stay tuned for more information about that specific ministry. But again, we'd love to have you or your family involved in one of these ministries at our church: life groups, journey groups, one-on-one mentoring. Again, get involved. We want you to be encouraged, and we want to support one another. And it's a great way to make our big church feel smaller as we get involved in small group ministries in our church.
Last of all, we want to say thank you to all of you who have been faithful to give financially to the work of the ministry at Richfield Life. We are a little over halfway through the year, and as everyone knows, lots of costs have gone up. But because of the faithful giving of God's people, our budget needs have been met in full. Thank you for your part in giving to the work of the ministry. Now join us as we worship together.
The next day. Damus, damus.
Damus, damus.
Swimming in the water.
Swimming in the water.
Good morning from Camp Manawagan. Being here at camp reminds me how much I love camp and I love retreats. Well, we have a ladies' retreat coming up, and it's a little bit different than what we've done in the past, because in the past we've done a whole weekend, but we realize with people's schedules that's sometimes not possible to get away for a whole weekend. So this year we're going to try something new, and it's an all-day retreat, and it will take place in the Family Life Center at Richfield Life Ministries, and it will take place Saturday, September 24th. So ladies, mark your calendars. We are excited for that event. Our speaker for the event is Lori Hinson, and her topic is Over Myself, Saying Goodbye to the Supergal Syndrome. It will begin registration at 9:30 a.m. and it will finish around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take a little bit. Lunch will be provided as well as a morning snack. The fee for the weekend or for the day is $20, and it can be paid at the door. If you're interested in coming, we encourage you to come. Bring a friend with you. All you have to do is call or text Bonnie at the office, or Connie Heinzelman. Either one of those ladies can register you for this great event. Again, it's a one-day event, 9:30 to 3 o'clock, lunch provided, $20. Bring a friend. It's going to be a great day of spending time together. We'll have worship, we'll have a speaker, we'll have some fun times together. So I hope that you'll come out and join us for that event.
favorite part of camp?
The games.
What's your favorite part of camp so far?
The food.
The food?
Food too.
We do about 25 loaves a day.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Damus, damus,
Damus, damus,
swimming in the water,
swimming in the water,
eating his breakfast.
eating his breakfast.
Here comes the hunter.
Here comes the hunter.
The next day,
The next day,
What's your favorite part of camp?
The games and the lake. Going to the lake.
the lake.
damus.
Dumb moose.
Let's stand as we begin our time in worship this morning. Let's pray.
Dear God, I just pray that you'll steady our hearts for worship and just let us sing these praises out to you. And I just pray that you'll watch over all the people that are about to speak and just give them the words to speak and just let you calm their nerves. I just pray all this in your name. Amen.
You surround me with
shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, you're coming after me. Snow shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Snow shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. All it chases me down, life still locked down, please deny me not. I know burden, I don't deserve it, till you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever see. We live for you. Jesus,
The name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your mighty arms around Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the
All right, you may kneel if you're able to before we go into prayer. Dear Lord, I thank you for the Father that you are, for how much you love us and for what you've done for us. We can't possibly imagine how much you love us for sending your Son to die for us on the cross. I thank you for the success in the past camps and ministries and missions throughout the past few weeks. We couldn't have done it without you, Lord. I pray that you be with the missionaries that are out right now serving you, and I pray that you be with them and keep them safe. Please be with all of those that couldn't make it today. Be with them as well. Be with the ones that are sick or going through hard times. Give them comfort that you are with them and that you're giving them strength. Lord, I thank you again for being such a loving Father and allowing us to have a beautiful Sunday to come here and learn more about you and apply what we hear to our lives. Amen.
Well, thanks, man. It's great having the youth up here today. In just a moment, they're coming up. And I wanted to just kind of give a heads up. Josh has worked hard. Josh has worked very hard at encouraging the youth to get up here.
I think more than ever,
Hang on.
I'm annoyed by society and perhaps Christians who want to say bad things about young people. If you're saying bad things about young people, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're not spending time with them. That's the only reason you're talking garbage, because they're amazing. I saw nothing but obedience, faithfulness, energy, excitement, and a desire to love these kids. And so to all of our teenagers, not just the ones that went along on this trip, but to every single teenager that's in this room, thank you for your love for Jesus Christ. Thank you for being an example in difficult days. And I love you, and I'm proud of you. And it was a real honor to get to be with you, and to those that weren't with us, the same is true.
That's true, too. I was just taking a quick minute. Josh didn't know I was doing this. He was talking to me before service. He said, I don't know what to do. The youth are sharing so beautifully. They're sharing a little longer than what we thought. What do we do? I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up and tell you as adults to practice patience and give God glory that our teens have something to say, and service might run a little late. Amen? Yeah! Take it over, teens.
Amen. This is awesome, guys. We have so many youth up here, and so many youth that might not even be here that were involved in the mission trips. Keep going, guys. I'll stand at the end. This is about you guys. Keep going. Oh, this is awesome. We're filling the stage. All right. So, yeah, guys, this is who went to CRC. This is also some of the people that went to Alaska. You've heard about the different mission trips that are going. Keep going. And there's also some that aren't even up here, some people that weren't able to be here, some adults that don't fit that youth category anymore, some people that aren't up here. I just want to make sure we recognize them too, because the missions that have gone on the past few weeks have been incredible. So I'm not going to keep rambling. We're going to start down at that end with introductions real quick. Everyone's just going to give name, grade, what trip they went on, and just kind of like we did at the campfire, something you learned or something that stuck out. Go ahead.
All right, I'm Becky. I am going into 11th grade, and I went on the Tim's trip. What did you learn? Oh, and I learned how humbling it is to see how happy the homeowners were when we finished their project.
I'm Aaron, and I'm going into 11th grade, and I was on the Alaska trip and the Tim's trip. And, I learned that it takes 2,100 sticky notes to sticky note half a truck.
I'm Renee. I'm going to be a senior. I went on the Tim's trip, and I learned that girls can build a porch.
I'm Caitlin. I'm going into 11th grade, and I learned just how much I can hit Caleb before he starts to fight back, and and that you. What was I don't remember what else I was gonna say. You can just go.
I'm Anna. I'm going into 10th grade, and I just learned how much smaller things matter to people.
I'm Ben. I'm not a teenager, and I'm in 1st grade. And I just had a good week working with these teenagers.
I'm Yvette. I'm also not a teenager. And yeah, we had a great week with the teens for the Tim's trip.
I'm Isaac. I'm going in 12th grade. I'm on the Tim's trip, and I learned how much homeowners appreciate you helping them.
I'm Caleb. I'm going into 12th grade, and I got to see how happy the homeowner was when we finished their porch.
I'm Malia. I am in 21st grade, and I learned that how big God is and that He takes care of us.
I am Savannah. I am going into 12th grade, and I learned how to cut steel.
I am Lydia, and this is Madeline. We are going into 12th grade. We both went on the Alaskan trip, and just I went on the Tim's trip, and we got to know our youth better.
I'm Evie. I just graduated. I went on the Tim's trip, and I learned how much sun it takes to make you sick.
I'm Mia. I also just graduated back in June. And one thing I learned here recently is that it may not seem like you have a story, like it's boring, but you do, and it can really be inspiring to people.
Hello, I'm Brayden. I'm going into 8th grade, and I learned these things are called sea porpoises.
I'm Nathan. I'm going into sophomore year, and I went on the Alaska trip. I learned that kids here in Pennsylvania are exactly like kids in Alaska.
I'm Sylvan. I'm going to be a senior. I also went on the Alaska trip. And one thing that stuck out to me would have to also be the kids. They don't have the amount of opportunities that we have here with like their location. They can't travel as much, and the weather's not as nice. It's always raining, it seems. But they're always happy. And I thought it was great how I could minister to them, and it also helped me grow in my walk with the Lord. And our team was able to lead 3 children to Christ, so it was a great trip.
I'm Maddie, and I'm going into 8th grade, and I was also on the Alaskan trip, and I think one thing I learned was that kids in Alaska do not care if it rains. They will play, and some of them running around without jackets. They do not care.
Thanks, guys. So pass that mic down because Becky's going to start us off. Why don't we get into, we're kind of mingled about right here. How about Ben's group on the end, Alaska in the middle, my group over here. We'll do a quick shuffle around while Becky gets the mic. Becky's going to start off talking about, we had 2 trips go to CRC, which is out in East Waterford. That's the Christian Retreat Center. And we have the one group that went to Alaska. So you're kind of going to hear from 3 little groups today. And we're going to kind of go into what they did and their experience with it.
All right, my group for Tim's consisted of 5 girls with Ben and Yvette as our leaders. Just to clarify, Tim's stands for Together in Missions. It's a work trip that is held at Christian Retreat Center. We worked on a home in a trailer park, and our homeowner's name was Charlie. We started the week by building a deck for his back door. That took most of the week, but once we finished, we split into 2 groups to finish 2 more tasks. Caitlin and Renee built a step for Charlie's shed, and they like to say it was the best step anyone will ever see. Meanwhile, me and Aaron and Mia ripped shingles off a different shed roof and then replaced it with tin that reflected the sun, so it made it super bright and super hot. Overall, the week was very busy and hot, but I'd say we all had fun. Now it goes to...
Well, I know that this will be said multiple times, but I genuinely enjoy the chance that I had to go on the Tim's trip this year. I love the opportunity to go closer to my friends and my youth leaders, as well as helping people in the community. I love to help out with people, can't speak this morning. I love to help people as I can, and I like to work with my hands, so you could say that Tim's trip was the perfect opportunity for me. I went on the Tim's trip last year as well, and I had a lot of fun then as well. When I first heard that we were going to be going for Tim's again this year, I could hardly wait. Greatly looked forward to the possibility of going on the trip again ever since the end of the trip last year. I had a really good experience with learning new things on the work site, getting to know people from the other church that was there with us, and growing closer to everyone else I went on the trip with. As some of you know, like I'm not really much of a people person. I like to keep to myself most of the time, not really interacting with other people. I never really had any friends in school because I didn't exactly have a desire to interact with others. I mean, I did want to interact with other people, but I didn't really want to get into the things that other people were, so I just kept to myself. Even when I started coming to youth group back in 7th grade with Trek, I was still a bit more withdrawn and shy because it's a new group of people. I don't really know them well yet. However, I had a few more things in common with the people at youth group. And I started coming out of my shell a bit more, being more interactive. It took me a couple years perhaps, but I got to the point where I really looked forward to coming to youth group. Whenever I would have to miss a Wednesday night for one reason or another, I was quite disappointed because I wouldn't be able to see my friends there. I may not share a lot of interests exactly with everyone at youth group, but I share the one thing that is the most important. I share faith and have trust in God and Jesus Christ as everybody else does. My story of how I came to know Christ is similar to, both of my parents are Christians, and I accepted Christ at a young age. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I came to Christ. I just always remember having faith. I haven't really had many hardships in my life that really challenged my faith, and I'm actually thankful for that. There was one time in my life, though, here in the past few years, where I had withdrawn from everything and I really was not myself anymore. 2 years ago, whenever the COVID pandemic was still rampant and we had all these restrictions, students and staff were still required to wear masks at school. I really wasn't comfortable personally with wearing a mask. I can't breathe, and I get headaches whenever I wear one for too long. But there were 2 classes in school that I had where I knew they'd be somewhat difficult for me, and I knew it'd be difficult to do them online at home. I was in person for those 2 classes until January of last year, which it would have been my junior year. I was in person until President Biden took office, and I wasn't exactly sure what would happen with schools and everything else, so I had made the decision to go full virtual for everything. And I was doing okay for a while, but I was still kind of getting used to the idea of being stuck at home, only being able to see my family for most of the week. As the year wore on, though, getting to spring, the end of the year stuff, I was really having trouble with everything. I like to be a hands-on learner, and being at home and virtual, I can't. I was having trouble because I wasn't getting the physical interaction with my classmates and my teachers as I was so used to. I couldn't get the full learning experience. I couldn't fully understand what I was learning. I could tell that I really wasn't myself anymore, but I kind of felt powerless to do anything about it. I mean, I tried taking care of myself on my own, but Like, it really wasn't working. Along with not being much of a people person, I kind of have a fear of, like, being vulnerable, like, opening up to people and sharing, like, how I really feel, instead of just, like, hey, I'm fine, or, like, I'm good. Well, and yeah, being open with people definitely makes me vulnerable. I go to Cowboy Church over at Promise Ranch on Sunday evenings, and like with most church services, we have a praise and prayer time before the sermon. And it was on my heart for a few months, like, to ask for help, to ask others in the congregation to pray for me. But was afraid of being vulnerable, I couldn't get the courage to ask. And sometime in April of last year was when, like, I finally got the courage to, like, stand up and ask for prayer. And like, soon after that, like, I could feel all the burdens that I was carrying. Like, I could feel them start to fall off. Like, I could really feel God working in my life. I was like, I used to be into listening to country music. Like, I would always have the radio turned to local country station, but soon after that night, I can't really explain it, but I lost a taste for it. Like, I can't really stand listening to country music anymore. And ever since then, the radio at home and in my car has been tuned to the local WGRC station, and I love it. Like, the message of all the songs on there is amazing. Like everyone has now and then, I have some days where I'm upset and not in the best of moods. I mean, I'm human, like, not perfect. Those days for me aren't really as bad as they are anymore. I have some issues with being a perfectionist, and it used to be for me that, like, after I'd make what most people would say just a small mistake, and I would be beating myself up for hours over it. Like, I would just be constantly thinking, like, I could have done better than that. Like, now, whenever I make just those little mistakes, like, I do think on it for a little while, but not as long. Like, I can let it go more easily. I used to think that I didn't have a story, that it was boring, like nobody would be interested. But I realize now that as I get older and I experience more of life, that I do have a story. And as somebody recently told me, like, my story might seem boring, but it can really be inspiring to other people. So if any of you out there think that you don't have a story, especially if you're a teenager or a young adult like me, you do indeed have a story. You're created by God for a purpose and a reason, even though you may not have any idea what it is yet. I mean, I don't really know what God has in store for my life yet, but I trust that He has a great plan.
All right, so this past week I was at camp, and Josh asked me to speak, and I was like, sure. And then last night, it was like 12 o'clock, and I was like, oh, I have to speak tomorrow. So, bear with me if this doesn't make sense. Let's see. There were a couple of things on the Tim's trip that stood out to me. The first thing was every day we'd go on the job site, we'd work, we'd pick on each other, talk. And then that evening we had a speaker, Zach, and just like a devotional and speaker seminar? Sure. I don't know, something like that. So every day there was something that we said on the trip that he then said the same thing. Like, it matched up so perfectly every day. Like, even if it was just a little comment or just a little joke, like, it was in his message somehow, and it was just crazy. Like, the one day, I think I quoted a Proverbs at Ben about the plank in your eye, and then that night, he spoke about that. Like, I was just picking on Ben, don't worry. But, yeah, it was just crazy. Like, every night that happened, and it was, I mean, it's not a coincidence. Another thing he said about one of his messages, it was Tuesday night, he talked about the sower, the parable of the sower and the seeds. And he said about how, where was I going with this? Oh, sometimes when he threw on the rocks, like God puts people in your lives to pull out your rocks in your life. And we were physically digging holes and pulling out of rocks out of Charlie's backyard. So I found that cool, but also like we could have been put in his life to pull out rocks, if that makes sense. Like, not that we were, I don't know how to put it, but like, or even in each other's lives, that like, just, you know, maybe helping each other pull out rocks out of our lives. Yeah, and it was just fun with our homeowner. He would just come out and just like watch all of us interact, and I found it really cool because it was 5 of us girls? 5 girls and Ben, and like, oh, and the redhead. Ben would like show us how to do and tell us what to do, but like he let us build the porch, which was really cool because, and I think Charlie found it cool. He would just come out and just stand there and like watch us interact and watch us pick on each other. And the fact that it was like all girls and we built this pretty sturdy porch. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. All right, as I said earlier, my name's Caitlin. I grew up in a Christian home, accepted Christ when I was like 6-ish. And when I was younger, I was always the kid at like camp and everything. Whenever they would have the little prayer to lead kids to Christ, I would pray just to be sure. But I never really did much about my faith for most of my life, just went to church and prayed and all that because it was what you were supposed to do. But over the last couple of years, I've been working on taking Christianity from being my parents' faith to making it my own, and finding joy in going to church and studying the Word and everything. Something else that I learned on the trip is faith in Jesus Christ is a commitment. I can't just go to church every week and pray before I go to bed to have a relationship with Him. I made a commitment to God to lead and worship Him, not just when it's convenient. Also, a little extra tidbit, I saw our homeowner Charlie last night at the McCassville Carnival, and he told me that he put a little table and chairs out there, and he's been sitting out there drinking his coffee in the mornings, so I think it's safe to say he likes it. And it didn't blow over, so we did a good job.
That's awesome, guys. So now we're going to take a quick switch from CRC into Alaska now, and Aaron's going to tell you about that.
Okay. So the first day that we got to Alaska, we went around and did some sightseeing. And then the next morning, which was a Sunday, we got on a 4 hours and 45-minute ferry ride that took us to Haines. And I think the only way to get to Haines is by boat, if that's correct, I don't know. But we got to Haines, we had an all day to explore the camp and get ready to prepare for camp, which started the next day. The camp was Monday through Thursday and started at 9 and ended around 2:30-ish. The day camp was just for 5-year-olds to 13-year-olds, but we did have a few 4-year-olds. And then Thursday night, we did an all-nighter with the teenagers of Haines, and then Friday, we packed up camp and got on another ferry that evening and arrived at Juneau. And from there, we went straight to Echo Ranch Bible Camp, where we stayed until Sunday evening. We didn't have any responsibilities at Echo Ranch, so we got tours of the camps. And then Sunday evening, we all left Echo Ranch and went back to Juneau to stay in town. And then early Monday morning, my family and the Benners left for home. And I don't know what the rest of the group did after that.
So I loved Alaska. I would have stayed the entire summer with Echo Ranch if I could have. The scenery was great. I liked the weather, and I loved the kids and how God worked through them and through me.
Alrighty, I got 2 stories here. So my point here is about how like much the kids loved the camp. Like, so this one kid, we're playing Pirates versus Ninjas. One team has pool noodles, one team has little discs you throw at people. So yeah, one kid, I hit Grace Schaefer with the noodle, and I'm hitting pretty hard. She's an adult, she can take it, you know? So a kid comes running by, the like aftermath of my swing, it hits him right in the face, man. He's like on the ground crying. I feel horrible. I'm apologizing. They're like, are you okay? Are you okay? Then like 5 minutes later, he's smiling again, you know, not crying. And then he sat with me at lunch, so we were chill in the end. And now my second story. So one day we decided to go kayaking. You know, so I had this little kayak. I'm like, big boy, little kayak. I don't know, sometimes don't work. So I start, like we're in the middle, it's technically the ocean. Not the middle, it felt like the middle to me. So I start like, if it looks like I'm sinking, they're like, oh, Braden, are you sinking? Ha ha ha, you know, no. So I get to like, pretty far out. I start bobbing in and out of water. Jana, I'm sinking. So I'm freaking out. I mean, you can't tell because I just kept a cool face on, but in my eyes you can see, I don't want to die like this, man. It was cold enough. I could have died from hypothermia, you know? It's glacier water. So, like, I'm counterbalancing Sylvan's kayak while Ella gets into his so that it doesn't flip over. Then he has to do that to Ella's. Then we pull it back to shore. Also, while this was going on, say from like me to that stand over there, there's sea porpoises going in and out of water. In and out. It was scary stuff, man. So then I gotta like paddle against the current back home after having like a not so midlife crisis. Yeah, that was a scary experience. Well, passing on to Nathan.
But Braden, the question I have though is that whole time, what were you thinking about?
I was thinking about being at the bottom of the lake.
So I loved Alaska, and I can't wait to go back to it someday. I'm just gonna share like 2 stories, maybe not as good as Braden's stories, but one of the things that stuck out to me was like on the first 2 days that we were there, we already had kids asking some of the leaders and stuff to go to their baseball game on Thursday. And I thought it was really special when all of the teens on Thursday loaded up into the van after camp, and we actually got to go out and watch these kids play some baseball. I think the fans thought it was a little weird when a bunch of these people from Pennsylvania showed up to their baseball game, but it actually all worked out. There was one of the coaches ended up getting hit in the head with one of the baseballs, and he was on the ground for a little bit. And some of his children were actually campers at the camp, and it worked out that we were there. We were able to talk the kids through it and pray for them and pray for their dad. I just thought that was really special. He made a full recovery, and as far as I know, he's back at home now. Another story was, same as Braden's. We went out kayaking, and I just remember seeing the back of Braden's kayak just a little under the water. I'm like, Braden, it looks like you're sinking. First, we were joking around about it and stuff, and then eventually Braden kayaks up to me. He's like, Nathan, it started as a joke, but I don't think it's a joke anymore. So instead of Braden kayaking back to land a couple 100 yards behind us, he takes off for the island that's about 1.5 miles out in front of us. A couple minutes later, I look up, and Braden, his kayak is almost completely under the water. He's up there. He's not going anymore. He's just floundering in the water. So eventually, we were able to reach him, and I'm glad out of anybody, it happened to Braden. Even though it was a serious situation, he was still cracking jokes the whole time. And he stayed pretty calm and collected, which I don't know if anybody else would have been able to. But yeah, that was a pretty fun part of the trip.
No, we all have a story with Braden and his kayak. Well, I was kayaking behind him, and I don't know who was next to me, but I leaned over and I saw the back end of his kayak was like literally in the water, and I said, he's not gonna make it. And, and Braden turns around and he says, guys, I'm not gonna make it. But it was just another great part of the trip. Alaska was beautiful. It made me feel small. The mountains and the bay, it was just incredible. And we got there, and we got to the airport. It was late at night, and we loaded our luggage up into 3 different vehicles, and they took us to Echo. And I fell asleep on the ride, and I woke up, and we were there, and it was still daylight. And I wonder if it was morning, but it was just like 12 at night. It was daylight still. That always was weird to me, how it was daylight almost all the time. But we spent a couple days at Echo, and then we made our way to Haines by ferry. And we got there, and we spent the first day just looking around and checking out the camp. It's a lot smaller than Echo, a lot more rustic. And the next day the campers came, and they were just like any other kid. You know, we had 70-something. Is anyone else? I think 70-some kids on the first day. And one kid, he was kind of a troublemaker. We had Bible time, and he sat down right next to me, and I would tell him not to do something. He was throwing a ball, I think. I told him, no, don't throw the ball. And he'd look at me, and he'd throw the ball again. I was like, oh, great, this is going to be a long week with him. And it just so happened 2 days later, he accepted the Lord, and it was a complete 180 turn. He was completely different. He would say to me, he's like, this is the best day of my life. I have Jesus in my heart now. And he'd be asking me questions like, how do I live my life for God? Like, what do I do next? And he would talk to other campers about him, and I just thought it was incredible to see what God did to him. And on 2 days before camp ended, me and Grant, another one of the head guys there at the camp, we shared our testimonies to our boys in our group. We separated into groups, and we had the oldest boys, and we shared our testimonies. And it was really cool to see all the older boys that opened up after that, and they were asking some great questions. And we had 2 more boys accept the Lord after that. So it was great. And I have one more thing. After our camp, and after we got back from Echo, we stayed in the lake house. And me, my dad, Nathan, and another guy that was with us decided to do this trail. It was called the West End Trail, and they talked about it as one of the more dangerous ones. And Mom, I'm sorry, I might have lied to you, but I told her that we had to write our will out before we took the trail. And she believed me up till now. So Mom, we didn't have to write our will. Sorry.
So I absolutely loved Alaska. I loved the campers and spending time with them. One of the campers, Gloria, she was a 4-year-old little girl. She absolutely had a blast jumping in mud puddles, and I just thought that was adorable. Another experience that we had was the baseball game, and it was cool to see the campers like outside of camp and see them play baseball. And it's really, everyone's connected to everyone. There's their siblings, their cousins, so like even if they weren't baseball players, they were still there. And it was really cool to see him play. And yeah, that was cool. It was beautiful, and yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, now we're going to transition back to CRC now. Caleb, the job foreman in my group, is going to let you know about that.
So I was in Josh and Malia's group, and we rebuilt a porch for a lady. When we got there, her roof over the porch was pretty rough. So we tore it down and built a new one around it, and then put lattice around it. And then the last day, we built a roof over her oil tank. And the day before the last, the homeowner had lunch with us and then did devotions with us. And that was really special because she was really happy to be able to hang out with us.
Anyone else from my group want to share? Isaac, Anna?
So when we were there, I really got to talk to our homeowner, Kelly, and she was just so nice, and she had so much fun enjoying time with us and helping us out a little. And she said that she was really like struggling before we came, and then we came and it just like brought her back. And so she did end up doing devotions with us on Thursday. She had a pizza party, got us all pizza, and did devotions with us at lunch before we left, because she had to work on Friday. And then she was actually upset when we had to leave. We really just, it was fun to get to know her and to talk with her and hear her story.
Yeah, so just seeing God work throughout the week. I know for me, Sunday night, I ended up getting like a sinus or a head cold, and it was just cool to see God just provide energy, and like we could definitely feel the prayers that we know people are praying for us, and we felt them, they were felt. And it's just super cool to be able to bless Kelly, and she loves her porch. I just talked to her last night. She loves it. And I think we're going to make plans to even get together with her at the Port Royal Fair in September. So that's just super cool to be able to continue that relationship with her and be positive people in her life.
Yeah, I love that Anna shared about her relationship with Kelly, because a couple of our people got really close with her. Kelly was so sweet. We loved having her just as our homeowner for the week, and she bought us pizza, so she was like the best homeowner. But towards the end of the week, when Anna says she got really close with her, Anna and Savannah, towards the end of the week, me and Caleb are like trying to put that last piece of steel up. And you know the last piece, when everything's gone well, it takes 20 minutes to cut. It was more than that. But we're sitting there trying to get it figured out, and I'm like, trying to get all this stuff. Keep in mind, it's 95 degrees, 95% humidity, okay? It looked like we stepped out of a shower the whole day. And Anna, Savannah, and the homeowner, Kelly, they had picked all like the little, not berries, but whatever comes off them pine trees. And they were like, I bet we could stick them in the back of Josh's head. And they could. So they're just like hitting them. I'm like, what's that? One goes in my ear as I'm trying to get them measured. Yeah, it was so much. They had so much fun with her. I don't want to gloss over the work that was done, because that was incredible. All these students gave up their time, they gave up their energy, and they gave up their comfort. They're giving up their comfort right now because you guys are scary. But I don't want to gloss that over, but the fact is, everyone in here, if you ask them the best part of their trip, we'd say the homeowners or the kids, depending on what group we were in. That's just what it comes down to. It's not a cliche. That was just the best part of the trip, because that's what these are about, guys. They got to show God's love to people. They got to be the instrument that God used to reach people for this week, or for however long they were gone for, and it was incredible. And I want to read out of Romans 10 real quick. Romans 10, 14 to 15. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. And I just want to thank you guys as a church for supporting the ministries that have been sending people, because the youth have gone. There's so many youth that have taken part in missions, that have taken part in reaching people for Christ. But there's also adults that went on these trips. There's people that supported them prayerfully, financially, even just through encouragement. And I'd encourage you to, today, those doors are always there to leave, but these people here are not always coming right off a mission trip with a whole bunch of good stories to tell, and don't waste this opportunity after church, guys. And I also want to take a moment, we kind of glossed over this, but these relationships built with the homeowners and the 3 young people that came to know Christ in Alaska. Can we clap that up, guys? Because that's amazing. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. So before we close out, does anyone have anything else they need to share? The Moose song. Oh, hold on. Ben's got something. Get your own mic.
I know it's common for older generations to be critical of young people, but this group here is really incredible. They sacrificed their time. A lot of them took off work. And it really was true that these 5 girls built the deck, I told him my goal was to not do any work. And I pretty well accomplished that. It was just fun after the first day. I pretty well had to guide him through everything, but by Wednesday or Thursday, stuff was happening, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening. But by the end of the day, Thursday, the deck was done, and it didn't fall over when we stood on it. So I just really enjoy teaching people practical things, and if you have access to young people and you have a skill, take some time and teach them, because it's really fun and they're willing to learn.
Anybody else? Okay. All right. Well, we have a minute. So before we go into worship, everyone stand up. You guys got a taste of this in the videos. Let's see how well they know this. This is a repeat after me song. All right, they got it. Braden, you got a mic? All right.
Called the Moose Song. Alrighty, I'm gonna start it. The moose, swimming in the water, eating his breakfast. Where does he go? The next day, the moose, swimming in the water, eating his breakfast. Here comes the hunter. The next day, dead moose, not floating in the water, not eating his breakfast. He decomposes. The next day, the fish, swimming in the water, eating the moose bits. Where do they go? You don't wanna know.
All right, I think that was the perfect way to end it. Give these guys a hand. You guys can grab a seat.
That is peak.
Close this out in a time of worship together. Just so everyone knows, it was kind of a special thing. We did ask the youth what songs they wanted to sing for Youth Sunday worship, and that's every song you've sung today means something to the youth of this church for one reason or another, and we are privileged to get to worship with them. Youth, what an honor. You guys are just amazing, amazing, amazing. We give God all the praise, all the glory, and I hope that what many people have said resonates here. You know, it is true. There are many lost and hurting youth in the world today. Our schools are filled with them. And I don't say this as an item of boast, but an item of boasting in God. Here in this church, it's the truth of the gospel. I believe that every youth that's up here and they would say that my life has changed, or I want to know God, or I want to worship him, or I want to go on a Tim's trip, it is because of their personal and vibrant relationship with Jesus Christ. So thank God, youth, for your love for him and recognizing his love for you. Let's worship. Oh.
We're good.
I worship
promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you,
don't know if you heard me, but you guys are dismissed. Have a great week.